Los Angeles erupts in chaos over IC raids. Well, it finally happened. Chaos erupted in Los Angeles yesterday as a full-blown riot broke out, all in protest of a series of IC raids that sent the city into a frenzy. Things escalated fast. We're talking tear gas, flashbangs, dozens of arrests, and of course, the left's favorite pastime, property damage. Surprise? Nope. Called it. You just knew the left's obsession with illegal immigration was eventually going to blow up. And what better stage than L.A.? Honestly, the city's cooked. California? Basically toast at this point. This whole thing just proves how far off the deep end the left has gone. They're literally ready to burn their own backyard down just to defend people who broke into the country illegally. But wait, it gets even juicier. Mayor Karen Bass, Governor Gavin Newsom, half the California congressional delegation, they all jumped in on the side of the illegal immigrants. Yep, reinforcing what most people already suspect. Democrats are all in on illegal immigration. Here's the game plan. Bring in as many third-world migrants as possible, make them dependent on U.S. welfare to survive, train them to vote Democrat, boost the blue state population, and boom, a permanent one-party system. It's not even a conspiracy at this point. It's just their playbook. Now, smash that like button and subscribe because it gets wilder. Let's break down how it all started. Protesters swarmed the federal building in downtown L.A., where some of the detained immigrants were taken after the raids. In came ABC's Giovanna Latta, reporting live as the chaos unfolded in real time just hours after IC crackdown. Chris Christie chimed in from Air 7, and no, not the politician, the chopper guy, and the scene was massive. Nearly 1,000 people wrapped around the detention facility, moving like a swarm from the federal steps at 300 Los Angeles Street, turning down Aliso, then onto Alameda, led by a literal cattle truck. Their goal? Surround the entire detention center. And yes, there were people still inside. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the hypocrisy on full display here. These are the same folks who scream, "No one is above the law." But apparently that rule excludes about 30 million illegal immigrants. For the left, it's not a crime if it fits their narrative. They'll twist the truth like it's a yoga pose. Remember how political violence is bad when it's the right? But if the left is firebombing Tesla dealerships, suddenly it's a righteous protest against fascism. Convenient, huh? In their world, they're the heroes of every story. They believe their feelings should dictate everyone else's reality. And when things don't go their way, tantrum time. What we saw outside that federal building wasn't just a protest. It was an actual meltdown. Cue the musical chaos montage. Drums, chants, smoke, classic street theater. And don't forget, these are the same people who treat January 6th like it was the darkest day in American history. Attacking a federal building? Unthinkable. Unless, of course, they're doing it. Naturally, federal agents weren't going to just roll over and let protesters storm the building. So out came the tear gas and flashbangs. Crowd control 101. And what did the left do? Played the victim card. Obviously. It's like a kid smashing your flat screen, then crying when they get grounded. Now enter Mayor Karen Bass. Her moment to take the stage. And what did she do? She doubled down, slammed IC, and stood tall with the illegal immigrant community. Take a listen. What happened here was probably the worst. ICE raids across multiple locations created terror in the community. People aren't sure where they're safe anymore. Translation: we're siding with lawbreakers and letting our city spiral because we want them to feel welcome. The mayor made it crystal clear. LAPD wouldn't intervene. Why? Because they didn't want illegal immigrants feeling worried. LA officials basically gave a green light to the chaos, and that made the rioters feel invincible. If your own leaders are cheering you on, why wouldn't you keep throwing bricks? And then, tragedy. A protester reportedly tried to block an IC truck, leaving the scene. They got hit. Word is they died. That's not something we'll show. Of course, we don't need this video flagged. But let's be real. Standing in front of a moving IC truck? What was the plan? That they'd just throw open the doors and let everyone out? Now the left will point at IC and cry, "Murderers!" But not once will they take responsibility for escalating the situation or encouraging reckless behavior. That's the result of being raised in a bubble where your feelings are sacred and the world owes you everything. Eventually, LAPD was forced to show up. This thing was spiraling fast. The city declared an unlawful assembly, and it looked like a war zone. Sirens, megaphones, riot shields, the works. So why is the left so obsessed with illegal immigration? Same reason they push half their agenda. It's not about facts. It's about fantasy. They cling to this romantic idea. A poor mother walking thousands of miles with her kids, chasing the American dream. Reality check. Under the Biden administration, 70% of illegal border crossers are single, military-age men. Yet they still see every illegal as someone pure, deserving, and harmless. They act like there's zero chance any of them could pose a threat. Meanwhile, they scream about not having free health care or child care for Americans, but they're fine with illegal immigrants draining billions from federal welfare system. Truth doesn't matter. They're here for the social credit, for the TikTok clout, and the Instagram virtue signals. And to wrap this segment, here's what Kristi Noem had to say this morning about the LA riot and the mayor's disgraceful endorsement. Tensions are boiling over once again in the heart of America's political landscape. And folks, this one is everybody talking. Pete Hegseth was on the scene. The crowd was massive. Leaders from all over were present. But the big question remains, what can we do to bring peace? What can we do to bring stability? And then out walks Hakeem Jeffries, standing center stage, practically green-lighting chaos. Kill icy graffiti? Throwing things at law enforcement? Excuse me, what? That's not protest. That's anarchy. And newsflash, this is still America. We have rules. We have laws. And when people murder, rape, and break those laws, they must face consequences. But what do we get from the so-called leadership? A PR disaster. Newsom and Karen Bass, both issuing tone-deaf statements instead of providing real action. We're the grown-ups in the room. Let's rewind to 2020. Remember when Minneapolis was burning? Guess who was stoking the flames? Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, practically encouraging the mayhem. And now, years later, the same party seems to be fueling the chaos on repeat. Here's the real kicker. Many Democrats have convinced themselves that Donald Trump is literally a Nazi. No joke. So, in their minds, every over-the-top stunt they pull is righteous. They stand on a moral high horse and support people like Abrego Garcia or rogue judges sneaking illegal immigrants out the back door. People who were in court for domestic assault. Mind you, fast forward to just last week in Minnesota. Protesters were fired up again. Why? They thought they were stopping IC from harassing innocent people. But guess what they were really protesting? A joint federal operation between IC, ATF, and the FBI targeting a dangerous criminal ring. That's right, real bad guys, not innocent dreamers. Protesters scream, "Lower your mask, lower your mask." Chaos erupts, theatrics galore. Is this what justice looks like now? These same voices are also pushing for men to compete in women's sports, teachers to indoctrinate kids, and irreversible gender treatments for children, all while ignoring the actual needs of everyday Americans. When November's election sent a loud and clear message, did they listen? Nope. They doubled down, whispering to themselves, "Wow, I must be surrounded by evil people." They refused to reflect. They refused to admit they might be wrong. Because hating Western culture has become their personality. They think they sound woke when they say things like, America is an imperialist oppressor. But what they're actually doing is betraying their fellow citizens. Need more proof? Just look at California. This week, the California legislature denied a bill that would have lowered gas prices. Yes, you heard that right. The state is drowning in an affordability crisis, and Democrats said no thanks. Not a single one voted for it. Let that sink in. One Republican lawmaker put it bluntly. I gave them the chance to protect your wallet, and they chose not to. The message is crystal clear. Sacramento Democrats are not serious about helping Californians. Period. Why? Because it doesn't affect their voter base. Illegal immigrants, many of whom work on the table, avoid taxes, and still get housing, health care, and benefits, all paid for by you, the taxpayer. Meanwhile, law-abiding citizens are left in the dust. And you'd think Californians would have learned their lesson when parts of LA were set on fire. But no, apparently woke ideology also comes with short-term memory loss. Get this, MSNBC reported that LA County has 1 million illegal immigrants. And that's just LA. It's considered normal to break federal law, cross the border illegally, and still demand free housing, education, and health care. Sanctuary cities have become magnets for criminals because they guarantee protection from deportation, even for repeat offenders. And this, my friends, is how the divide deepens. On one side, people who want to make America great again. On the other, people who seem hell-bent on tearing it all down. But wait, it gets even more jaw-dropping. Q. Scott Jennings on the panel. A Democrat candidate flat out says, every person on Earth deserves free health care paid for by U.S. taxpayers. Every single person. You're saying even illegals should get Medicaid? Yes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a real position held by real candidates running for office in America. It's not satire. It's not a joke. It's delusion dressed up as virtue. They argue that since hospitals can't deny treatment, taxpayers should just cover it for everyone, from Bangladesh to Bolivia. But if that's your argument, you're living in a fantasy. It's like watching a 5-year-old run a country. No concept of money, no understanding of scarcity, just blind idealism. Here's reality. Outside of America, Canada, parts of Europe, Japan, and Korea, the world is filled with poverty, corruption, and violence. But Democrats think 75% of Earth's population should move here and get a blank check. The truth is, the American people aren't buying it. And until the Democrats wake up from their progressive fever dream, they will remain an unserious, unpopular, and out-of-touch party. What do you think? Sound off in the comments. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more hard-hitting coverage, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed, and stay free.